Hello, I'm Aiden.
And I'm Josh. Welcome to Undead Ramblings, where we talk all things Call of Duty Zombies amongst other games, movies, and other media.
This is episode 1 of our podcast, and if you haven't seen it already, I would direct you to go see our pilot episode, where we introduced ourselves, our expectations are, what you can expect from this podcast, etc., etc. So it's really worth going to watch it. Just for a point of reference, this episode's been recorded on the 31st of October 2024.
Alright, so we've got a few topics that we were going to cover today, initially. The first one we were going to cover is the footage that we've captured. So what we're going to try and do as we go through these episodes is try and have the footage be thematically tied to what we're talking about. So what you'll be seeing on screen right now, hopefully, is our attempt at trying to find the Terminus Easter egg, which was quite an experience, wasn't it, Aiden?
That it was. I mean, there were some things that I really enjoyed, other things I really didn't, and that boss fight was humbling, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to cover that as we go on. So beyond that, we're also going to talk about the layout that you'll be seeing on screen. So one of the things that I wanted to mention as we go is the fact that we're going to try and also keep the renders thematically tied in the background. And we've had a bit of an issue as the tool isn't currently available to extract models and to tap the soundtrack, but we'll get to that later, from Black Ops 6. So we're going to have to use models from previous games for now. But I don't think that's really all that important because, ultimately it's a podcast and you're here for, the audio. So hopefully that won't matter too much, but I plan to update it as we go, as the tools become available. Another thing that we're going to talk about is the changes to the upload schedule. Right, so when we recorded that previous episode, it came out way later than it was supposed to, didn't it?
Yeah.
The initial release was supposed to be like a month before it actually got posted. I will admit, I dragged my heels a bit putting the visual aspects of it together. So, because I really wanted something.
You worked very hard, to be honest.
Thank you. I'm glad you think so. So yeah, I just wanted something that best foot forward, as I kept saying to you, Aiden.
Yeah.
So some of the things that aren't going to be valid anymore that we said in that episode was that originally we were going to upload on Fridays every 2 weeks or fortnightly. But now we're going to be changing it to Thursdays, and that's because you're going to be at university, isn't it, Eden? So we're not going to be able to do it.
Yeah, exactly. I've got university all day on Fridays at the moment, so
yeah,
Thursdays is definitely going to be a better day for me to record, and then we will release an episode the week after we record.
Yeah, absolutely. So pretty much closing off this section. It's just a brief channel update and talking about how I've recently started uploading the Terminus and Liberty Falls soundtrack, if that's something you're interested in watching, if you haven't already been on the channel. So that's something you can check out, and they'll hopefully be more available by the time this comes out, but we shall see. One of the things that I have had to change this time around is that normally for the previous videos I would use the aforementioned extraction tools to get the audio for the game, but because of them not being available, I'm having to record it out of the game. So I appreciate your patience, as trying to do that has been an experience to say the least, especially with some of the new game mechanics that we will definitely be getting into. Right, so I think that's everything there, Ed, if you want to take it from here.
Yeah, so the main topics that we're going to be covering this episode, we were going to cover Nacta and Toten and what our thoughts on that map were. However, with the release of Black Ops 6, we felt it prudent to give our initial thoughts on the maps Terminus and Liberty Falls. So the topics we're going to cover this episode are our initial thoughts, the mechanics and the gameplay, Easter eggs, cast, enemy variety, and what we want to see over the game's life cycle. So just diving into our initial thoughts on the map, what do you think of Liberty Falls and Terminus, Josh?
Well, which one do you want to start with? I feel like maybe Liberty Falls, because that's the one we started with, mainly.
Yeah.
I mean, I know.
Yeah, that might be a good idea.
I know we did play Terminus first, but I suppose it doesn't really matter all that much.
I suppose you could say we completed Liberty Falls first.
Yeah, that's true. I really like it. It's definitely been, as you've said a few times out of the podcast, it's probably the best launch we've had for a new zombies game in quite a while, actually.
Absolutely.
It's certainly the most fun I've had with round-based, and felt like the maps had the most personality since we played, I don't know, Black Ops 4, I guess. I still don't know if I'd say it reaches those levels, but it's close enough for me to be happy with, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I surprisingly really like Liberty Falls. It's definitely a map that I think I could jump in at any point just to play with.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, it's probably the strongest. Both maps are probably the strongest launch that we've had in a very long time.
Absolutely.
Not just like in terms of gameplay and all-round fun, but even instability. I've not experienced any crashes on my end, but like it's really really fun. I really enjoy both maps.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And one of the things that we were wanting to bring up as well was the difficulty. Damn, is it fun to play? It gets extremely hectic, but not in a way that's, annoying. It's in a way that actually keeps things interesting and challenging. You never quite feel safe on those higher rounds like you would in one of the previous entries. But yeah, that's one of the aspects that I really like.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think with your difficulty is that, I mean, it's pretty early days that we haven't unlocked all of the augments and special stuff that make you overpowered, much like in Cold War. But this game definitely keeps you on your toes, and like the difficulty does like spike quite quickly. Not in a bad way though. Like this, I think I was saying to you, Josh, that in Cold War you got to round like 24 or 30 in like what felt like 5 minutes, and zombies just kept dying. But like this map, it could take you quite like almost 20, 30 minutes, even an hour if you're taking it slow to get to round 30 or 35.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It definitely feels like you get a lot more, meat on the bones, I guess, if you're experienced this time around. There's certainly a lot more reasons to stick around in the map for longer, and like you say, the rounds generally do feel like they take longer. But yeah, so beyond that, what kind of mechanics that they've added this time did you like?
Just like straight away the HUD mechanics, being able to like turn off your mini map or the damage counters, zombie health bars, all of that. It's just such a quality of life.
Absolutely.
I didn't hate the kind of Cold War through to Modern Warfare Zombies HUD, but it's starting to feel a little bit cluttered, and taking something like the minimap off adds so much to the experience, in my opinion.
It really does, yeah. I can't say I've really experimented with it too much. I've only used Redacted for those videos that I've uploaded so far, so it'll be Amalgam, I think, right now. Is the only one that's up that uses Redacted, but there'll probably be more. I'm sure all the boss fight ones are going to be using that HUD. What was
I was trying to capture I was just going to ask how I was trying to capture footage without the HUD on.
Oh, like I say, an absolute nightmare. I initially, you couldn't probably tell by the video, but I did try to record the Patient 13 fight first. But I couldn't even last long enough to get the bloody theme, so... Because my armor broke, and I couldn't see it. So I had no idea, and I just got insta-downed by the slam, and I was like, sod this, this isn't working out.
Yeah. I'm sure people might be forgiving if you needed a HUD on just to see what you're doing, just to capture footage.
Absolutely, like it was literally my second time ever going into that fight, bar the one that was showing that'll probably be shown on the screen.
Yeah.
But yeah,
just.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
Can I just? Oh, sorry to interrupt you. Just a point to make. This video might contain some spoilers. We're gonna try and steer away from it, but just be aware that there might be spoilers for Liberty Falls and Terminus, particularly the actual steps.
Absolutely, we'll give you forewarning if we're gonna cover something that might be a bit, treading the line a bit, but we'll try to avoid. We'll try to just speak generally. I'm sure the idea that Terminus has a boss fight is not going to be a surprise to anybody at this point, so I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, I know.
I think we'll be okay with that.
Do you want to talk about the pause timer?
Oh boy. Right. I'm going to try and remain positive because I could go off about this pause timer. But I'm not going to try not to. So if you haven't played it, basically, if you've ever played Vanguard, you'll know that because you play on their servers now, you're only allowed to play even on solo for a limited quantity of time before the servers will boot you off. And that was eventually added. I think it was around about the last map or something. I think Archon. I'm sure it was around about then they added it. And so they gave you an hour. In Black Ops 6, they give you 15 minutes. Picture this.
Robbed you of your extra 45.
Picture this. Having to pause your entire session and only allowed to pause for that one session for 15 minutes. Unless you use another feature, which we'll get to in a second.
I mean, you might as well mention it here.
I suppose, yeah. If you haven't played it again, what they've added in this game is the ability on solo for you to save and quit. So that allows you to save and quit on any round once, I believe. It's once per round, isn't it? And you can come back to it whenever you want.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and well, it's like I've said to you, Ed, it clearly feels to me at least like almost like a bandage solution to the pause timer problem. But as we said, who's going to want to sit there, save and quit every time they expire their 15 minutes? It needs to be brought up, in my opinion. I don't think Zombies itself needs a pause timer, and I wish they'd learned from Vanguard to not include it, because it has made recording footage an absolute nightmare, along with the feature we're going to cover next. But
yeah, I mean, I'm glad that they have added in the save and pause feature, because I think that is something that the community has been wanting for ages.
Yeah.
And I like I said to you before we started recording, imagine having a save and pause feature for something like Classified and do the round 150 Easter egg.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It would have made life so much easier. I just wish it didn't come at the cost of us losing features, like being able to pause as long as we want. The amount of times I spend when I'm playing solo and I just pause for long periods of time while I go and, I don't know, have something to eat or something like that. But now I just feel like I can't leave the game until it's finished, unless I save and quit. But like I say, who wants to have to quit out, lose all that momentum and then come back? I hope it's something
that...
If nothing else, I'm hoping we at least get a bigger window. Give us an hour.
Yeah.
An hour at the very least, and I will be satisfied.
or at the very least, let the timer restart after you pause, after you unpause and then pause it again. Just let it restart, or at least build back over time.
Exactly. And one problem I noticed specifically the other night when I was trying to record footage for Amalgam was the fact that if you don't unpause it in time, it will save and quit for you. So God forbid if you're not even pausing it to take a break, but you're pausing it to change options, you will be kicked out of your match in the middle of the options menu. If you want to change options at that point, you have to save and quit, change your options, load back in. I just don't think it worked.
No, it definitely could have a bit of fine tuning. I'm kind of glad that after the timer runs out, it doesn't automatically start your game again. At least it does have the decency just to save and quit for you. So that if you do go off for dinner and you are running over time, you're not coming back to a game over.
Yeah, I understand that, but I just don't feel like I should be able to go into the options and then suddenly find myself back at the lobby. You know what I mean? True. It's like I say, for me at least, when I'm recording footage, there's a lot of that. I know that that's not everyone's experience, because most people aren't recording footage. But I don't know, it's been a real pain point for me, along with the next one, if you want to take over for that one, Ed.
Oh, the idle kick.
Oh, yeah.
Personally, I've not really experienced idle kicking myself, though I think this ties into kind of when we were talking about when we're doing the algebra step on to get the wonder weapon.
Spoilers.
Terminus. Yeah. And if you're just standing still, just trying to figure out doing like mental maths, and you're staying still too long.
Yeah.
I think you've experienced this, haven't you, Josh? It just kicks you.
Exactly. Even as the host, you can get kicked. It's outrageous.
Yeah.
If there's one mode that doesn't need idle kick, it's zombies. This is, like I say, if you were playing like a high round to around 50 or 100 or something, no one's allowed to take a break. You have to play consistently for 100 rounds.
Yeah. I mean, at the very least, there doesn't need to be idle kick on solo, which I've seen on the subreddit a couple times. It's just people who are playing solo. Yeah.
I wasn't even aware of that.
They get idle kicked.
Wow. Okay. So this isn't so much a rant, I hope, as it is a plea.
Yeah.
Please, Treyarch, give us more time. Because it's the only part of this game so far that I could say I outright don't like. And I would really appreciate if you gave us more time or changed the system entirely. Whichever's easier. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Especially for content creators such as yourself.
Yeah, like I understand that doing YouTube stuff like soundtrack and that is, the minority, but like I say, even if you were playing casually, stuff like idle kick and that is going to affect you at some point. If you have a knack of playing for high rounds, you're going to probably be hit by it at some point. And I just don't think that's fair. Like I say, I understand why they do it, and again, it comes back to what we said earlier about how it's all on their end now. Zombies is officially a dedicated server mode now. You cannot play it offline, you cannot play it locally. You're constantly connected to their servers, and they obviously need to free up ones that aren't being used. And that's why these features exist, but it just sucks as a zombies player, because it completely ruins the gameplay experience.
Yeah, it definitely does need a bit of fine-tuning.
Absolutely. It's not something that I'm going to say is going to ruin your experience if you haven't played it already. But it's going to be annoying, for sure. But like I say, we can only hope and pray that they'll fix it. So, do you want to move on to something more positive then?
Yeah, let's talk about the prestige skins and augments.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so if you haven't played it, you now get skins for characters by prestiging or certain operators. And they've added some fun zombie ones in there, haven't they?
Yeah, I think, is it Zombie Weaver or something like that?
Yeah, the World at War themed Weaver skin, which is really cool. Yeah. The strange Samantha's pajamas outfit for Grey. It just feels so strange. Considering Modern Warfare 3's storyline, we'll get there eventually.
I mean, the people who ship Sam and Grey are probably like losing their collective mind right now.
Absolutely, they're going to be reeling after Modern Warfare 3's reveals. But again, yeah, if you haven't played it, we'll get to that eventually.
Yeah.
So,
More importantly, let's talk about augments. Like,
oh
these
yeah,
are great.
yeah, arguments are really cool. They're basically just how would you describe them? They're basically the Cold War perks that you would buy with the crystals that would make your perks better. But instead of them being a one-time purchasing that's available every game, you basically get one from each category, major and minor, and you can take whichever couple you want into each match, and they'll affect that perk for the whole game. And I think that's really cool. It's a really nice way that rebalances it, where Cold War could be too easy at times. I find this flows better because it makes you think, and I almost get that, with like World War II, where we had so much trouble, but we found like two classes or specialist abilities that worked like really well together and complemented each other. I kind of get the same.
Yeah, you can really kind of. Oh, sorry.
No, it's all right. I was just gonna say, I kind of get the same, feeling with this. That you can kind of mix and match and experiment, play around with different loadouts that's better suit your gameplay style. And yeah, I really like it. I've personally found ones that I really like, and I'd honestly be curious, Aiden, to compare it with you, to see what ones you've picked, just to see how much difference there is between players' setups. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is it. Like, with Cold War, like you said, you buy them. Like, once you bought all of them, you're an overpowered killing machine. And if you want to go on an absolute power fantasy, then, like, Cold War is really great.
Yeah.
But with this, every player can tailor their augments to fit their own kind of personal play styles.
Yeah.
For me, I'm more of a kind of risk it for the biscuit player. Like, I will make if I see that there's a narrow gap between zombies, I will make that run through.
Yeah.
Or like, I'm quite aggressive with my play style, and so I would probably tailor my augments to fit the kind of more aggressive play style.
Exactly.
I haven't. You played more than I have, so I haven't really unlocked that many augments.
Yeah, that's fair. I will say they do unlock extremely slowly. It does take a handful of games, to complete even a single perk. You won't be doing it in like one match, but you do unlock them gradually. So there's like ones that I've seen. Like some perks have been like a bit hit and miss about. Like, ooh, I'm not too sure about that one. But some of them, I'm like, I'll look at it and I'm like immediately like, I really want that one. Like I think for Speed Cola, like it was faster weapon swapping was one I went for immediately. And God, what a difference it makes. Or stamina. Is it stamina that has the weapon swap? It's one of them.
It's one of them, yeah. I know that one of your personal favourites is the energy mine turret.
Yes, what a glow up that was. Wow. If you haven't tried it and you do have the game, I do highly recommend giving the energy mine turret a go with 2 charges. It can be really helpful, especially on some of those SAM trials like Holdout or one of the ones that I like to exploit it on. Is the one where you have to be on a different level to the enemies, so like you have to be higher or lower.
Yeah.
If it's a lower one, I'll put it up on like a ledge and I'll just jump off, and there you go. It does the whole thing for you.
That counts for you? Like,
it does.
If you're on the same level as the zombies, but the turret's on the higher, that counts
the turret
as
kills them.
The higher elevation?
Because they died before they were on your elevation, it counts, yeah.
Right, that's wild.
So I've been cheesing the hell out of that, or using it to power up the generators in Terminus, because it just gets them off the thing really easily. Yeah, I actually haven't used any of the others apart from I can't remember what it's actually called, the laser pen. What's it called?
Yeah,
the new one.
I can't remember.
I will say I'm not a big fan of that one. At least it's default version, but we'll see what happens as you put augments on it.
Yeah.
It might get better. It may get better. So I wasn't huge on Energy Mine in Cold War or Modern Warfare. Well, maybe Modern Warfare a bit more. I found, it's good for reviving people in that one, isn't it? You can just drop an Energy Mine on a player on Modern Warfare and it clears everything. And
yeah, I mean, your old favourite is Ether Shroud, isn't it?
Yeah, I've always been one of those people who, like you say, I'm kind of like you in the way that play aggressively. So when I do get stuck, it's nice to have a get out of jail free card. It's certainly a trick that's come in handy through the years, for sure. I really struggle, I don't know about you, but I really struggle going back to games that don't have specialist abilities. I become a bit too reliant on them.
Look,
if I get stuck on like Mob of the Dead or something, that's it, it's curtains. And I'm not used to that anymore. You know what I mean?
You gotta rely on your old get the fuck out guns.
Yeah, exactly. Because I freeze up when I get cornered. I don't shoot like a madman like you're probably supposed to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So is there anything you want to add to that?
If there's...
Alright, go on.
I was just going to say, I know this was kind of mainly talking about augments, but we've ended up talking about specialists as well. If there's one thing I want with the specialists, is that they charge up just a little bit quicker.
Oh yeah, they're definitely a bit slower than they used to be.
Yeah, and after like playing something like Modern Warfare Zombies, where like an energy mine charges up after like 10 kills, it's a bit slow in Black Ops 6 Zombies.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Although I will say one of my favourite challenges, the SAM trial ones, is the field upgrade one where you just get spammed a full charge every 3 seconds. You could just keep dropping turrets. Yeah. Just dropping turrets everywhere. Like, yeah. Sadly, you can only have 3 on the map at once. But
I mean, 3's nothing to sniff up at.
No, like I say, especially for the step as well in Liberty Falls with the water valve to get the jet gun. That comes in handy there as well, I find. Yeah, I've had a really hard time shifting that. I've got it now, and I can't convince myself to drop it for something else. I've gotten so comfortable with it. I might actually keep it long term, but we'll see. We'll see. Do you reckon they'll add any new augments down the line, or do you think that's going to be that?
Possibly.
I'd hope so.
I mean, maybe towards the game's end. I should imagine that their priority would be to release new perks or new specialists first. Yeah, that's true. Or even at new ammo types. I mean, I have noticed that there are a couple of perks like Mule Kick and Death Perception that are missing.
Yeah.
Shatter Blast is also missing from the ammo mods, so I think that's kind of what they're going to be reintroducing first.
Yeah, that's fair. So anything else then, or do you want to move on from that? I'm
happy to move on. Let's talk Easter eggs.
Right. Yeah, I think we covered everything else in that category, didn't we? Yeah. So just a bit of a heads up. This might be going into spoiler territory. Yeah, this is absolutely going to be covering spoilers. So here's your warning. All right. So Liberty Falls.
That was the one we did first.
Yeah, this was one we were really chuffed with because we figured it out ourselves, didn't we?
Well, no guide whatsoever.
Well, more like you did, to be fair. But we'll go with it.
No, give yourself some credit.
But yeah, Liberty Falls was really fun. It's a nice, short and sweet Easter egg, but I thought it was really fun to complete. The jet gun, especially, has had one hell of a glow up since we last saw it, so that's a lot of fun to use. There's actually a surprising amount of story content as well. I was expecting it to be, as people sold it, initially, that it's going to be like a bonus map like Newtown, wouldn't be much on it. It was just going to be, this kind of filler map. But I don't know, I was kind of pleasantly surprised. There was a bit more in it than I thought there would be, and I've actually ended up enjoying the whole thing a lot more than I thought I would.
I think I said this to you.
Oh, sorry, you go.
Sorry. Okay, I think I said this to you when we were doing the Easter egg, that this definitely feels a lot different to other kind of secondary maps, so like that we've had before. So 5, Newtown, even the Giant, up until Black Ops 4, really. Like all those secondary maps never really had like a proper main Easter egg.
Yeah.
And so it was really refreshing to have something like that for a secondary map.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I was quite surprised as well by how challenging the final step was. Like I say,
the boss fight.
Yeah, if you want to call it that. Yeah, it was really quite surprising to me because, like I say, we come fresh off of Cold War, expecting it to be relatively easy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But no, it was surprisingly quite intense, wasn't it? We actually had. It is on my phone. We had a few close scrapes, didn't we, in that final bit?
Yeah, I think it's just because the room is tiny. I mean, I can't imagine what it would be like with 4 players.
Oh god, yeah. It's certainly not big enough for 4 players. It kind of reminded me of Spaceland. God, but we'll crack that note eventually.
The 4 players with energy mine turrets might change it.
Aye, that's true. I don't remember if I had them at that point. I think I did. Yeah, I think I did.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. I don't think I have footage of us doing that though, so we'll have to go back and get that at some point.
I mean, it's such an easy Easter egg that we can easily dive into that anytime.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, I've even done it solo, so if you ever feel conscious about your ability to do Easter eggs, try that one first. Because it's certainly a lot easier than Terminus. That's for sure. So,
I mean, speaking of Terminus, might as well talk about that one a little bit.
Just before we get into that, do you want to talk about some of the side Easter eggs?
Oh yeah. Like, I don't know about you, but like these, I mean, I haven't really experienced much on the Terminus side for side Easter eggs, though I know that they are out there. But the Liberty Falls map has got so many side Easter eggs going for it.
It really does, yeah.
Really caters for side Easter eggs as well.
Yeah, which is great.
Like the Ether.
Oh, sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say like the Eterella statue where you can.
Oh yeah.
Grab a bunch of statues. You turn into a blooming statue that can shoot lasers out of its side. I fully recommend trying to exfil with that because it's an absolute laugh.
If anyone else beats me to it, I would like really want to ask someone to try and do the Easter egg final step with that statue enabled to see if it actually works because I'm curious. I'm assuming it is. But there's something nagging in the back of my mind that tells me as soon as you enter the boss fight and press the generator, it's gonna stop. But I don't know. We'll see. I might get to try it before we upload this, but we'll find out. But yeah, there's other ones like there's the bowling one, Missed Peaks.
Yeah.
That one's a fun one. That's another one we found by ourselves. Well, in fact, you found the statues by yourself, didn't you? The Eterella ones.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I had to Google the last two because you told me where they were, but I couldn't remember them, so I ran to Google.
Well, we found, in terms of the Mr. Peaks bowling alley, that we found that on our first playthrough. Well, not our first playthrough, but like we found that.
I think it was our second. Was it?
First time we did the actual Liberty. Yeah,
Liberty Falls was
it was our first time doing the actual Liberty. It was the first time we did the Liberty Falls main Easter egg, and during that run, that's where we found the Mr. Peaks shoes, bowling shoes.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say I got lucky and found the first ones on the tree outside the map behind the graveyard, and from there, and the spawn ones.
You found the ones in spawn, didn't you? Yeah,
the gas station. But you found the rest of them because apparently I'm just blim and I couldn't see them anywhere. I don't know if it's my TV. I don't know if it's the distance I'm at from my TV. I just can never see these things because you've always been really good at that. But I'm sure we'll get into that when we talk about Terminus.
My nose is up to the screen most of the time when I'm looking for things, and to be fair, some of those shoes are in really dark places.
Yeah, like the ones under on the coffin I would never have seen, or the ones under the chair. Trying to be as vague as possible in case anyone who wasn't bothered about spoilers is still listening. Not to ruin it for them, but...
There are a couple of Easter eggs that I know of free Deadshot one, but I haven't actually experienced it myself. And then there's another one that I know of, but I'm not going to talk about it here because I want to play a game with you, Josh, and have your first experience of it.
Right. Okay, now I'm nervous. Okay. Alright, sounds good. So yeah, do you want to talk Terminus then?
Yeah, sure. The map that we actually got up to the boss fight, but we actually haven't beaten it yet, have we?
Yeah, oh god. I've been traumatized since that death scene. That scream that Grey did has haunted my dreams. Oh. Seriously, I sat there horrified for a few seconds after we finished it, because I was like, you fucking what?
Grey's voice actress had to pay bills this month.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's stuck with me since we did that run. So yeah, Terminus didn't quite reach the peaks of Liberty Falls, did it? At least in terms of how enjoyable it was to look for, because we didn't watch any guides. We tried to do this ourselves for both maps. And while we did succeed with Liberty Falls, there was a few steps in Terminus that had me reeling. And
I don't know about you, but like when we tried it, 2 nights ago? I was pretty tired that night anyway, so I wasn't really super excited with some of these steps.
Yeah, there was quite a lot of busy work ones in that Easter egg, which they're fine on repeat playthroughs. I've had no bother with it since recording footage with them. Apart from maybe one, which we'll get to in a moment. But yeah, there's a few steps in here that I wasn't too keen on, like namely the hard drive one, which I have a bit of a sore spot for because it was the only one I couldn't find on my own. Well, not the only one, to be fair. There's like about 2 or 3 of them that I couldn't find on my playthrough either. I managed to build the Wonder Weapon on solo, but I couldn't do the rest. So we went looking in that game that you'll be seeing on screen, and you found them in like what? Like 5 minutes?
It was genuinely just a complete fluke. I just decided I got the Wonder Weapon in that game, and you mentioned that you tried shooting the cannon with it.
Yeah, I was convinced that the Dark Ether cannon would have some kind of link. It didn't. So we're looking as well.
So I thought
we're looking for what this watch does as well. Still have no idea what that does.
Yeah. If anyone has any input on that, just drop it in the comments just to let a pair of old zombie players know.
Yeah.
But it was just complete fluke that thinking you'd already shot the cannon, so I thought, oh, let's see what would happen if I shot the new tentacle trap. See if and it just so happened to be the right one.
Yeah,
that dropped the hard
drive.
The
one that has the card.
And you were reeling.
I was so pissed off because it was the one thing I hadn't thought of, and I was like, of course, you know, it's the one thing that crosses your mind, and then you think they wouldn't do that. That wouldn't happen.
Well, now they do. So, they do that.
So the next map that comes out in, when is it, December or something? I'm going to try anything and everything, regardless of how absurd it sounds. I've learned my lesson. It's just because, Cold War, those Easter eggs were relatively straightforward. Mostly, yeah. They still had a few ones that were a bit... but for the most part, you could solve most of it on your own. But this one, Terminus threw me. It really did. Most of it's fine. It's just the hard drive step, and do you want to talk about this one? The code? Oh, Lord.
Oh, yeah. It's honestly trying to find the code for Nathan's cell. The radio that is next to you, or next to the actual cell that's meant to give you. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being thick. But I didn't hear anything on that radio that would
like
tell
clue
you
in.
where to look in general.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. He says something along the lines of, I've had reminders on my rounds, and I'm like, all right, rounds. So where did we check first? We went to the bunking area and looked at the whiteboard where there's people's rounds are written down on there. But there's nothing. Absolutely nothing. So I'm like, what? So we looked at that for ages, didn't we? And
yeah, I mean, if there is something that tells you what his rounds are, please let us know. But
exactly, I would love to know what the thought
way.
process is. Yeah, you using game design knowledge helps us crack
so
it.
I found the clock, which is the first number.
Yeah.
Purely because I knew that Treyarch classically uses light to tell where things are.
Yeah.
And being as they've used clocks in the past, I just thought, on a whim, let's see if that clock is a number.
Yeah.
And they usually go by the hour hand, so in our case, it was closer to 6.
Yeah, something like that.
So that kind of gave us our first number. Or our first potential number. Then you told me about the accident sign, the days since
well, you
last
found
accident.
it first in that match, because I'd seen it before, but I couldn't remember where it was. But I remembered when I saw it, that it was number 2 in my game, whereas I think in the footage it's 5. Was it? Something like that?
Yeah.
So
in my mind, that immediately clocked it on as one of the potential numbers.
Yeah.
Because why wouldn't it be?
Absolutely.
And then it was just through searching other areas. I think I ended up in the cafeteria area, and there's a chalk, or not chalkboard,
like a notice board, yeah.
Yeah, and it was purely because I played a few matches or few levels of campaign, and I'd seen that on there before. So seeing it in the cafeteria, I knew that the card on there,
playing card,
does not appear. Yeah, it does not appear in campaign. So that kind of gave us at least definitely 2 numbers to work with, and then possibly the clock. And we just punched in the first code that we thought of, which was 635, wasn't it?
Something like that. Yeah.
And it worked.
I was speechless. Like, I'm not even joking. I actually couldn't speak for like 10 seconds after it happened. I had to come up to the thing and I saw it said unlocked, and I was just like, no, that didn't happen.
So, I mean, I was in the same boat. I didn't think it was going to work. I thought it might have been for something else, but...
Because I was going to say, I was extremely resistant to it, wasn't I? I wouldn't have it. I didn't believe for a second that they'd do that.
I think you were okay with potentially the big number and possibly the card. The one you were dragging your feet on was the clock.
Yeah, because every time I looked at it, even when I look at it now, it just doesn't stick out to me personally. I just don't see it. I've looked at it before, but it just never stuck out to me as something important. I thought it was just, cool lighting, I guess. But I'm glad you called it.
I mean,
I'm certainly not complaining.
Just because I think it was from Rizzo's videos that he talks about Treyarch's lighting techniques.
Yeah.
And then I don't recall seeing a clock in any other part of the map, so I just thought, what the hell?
Yeah. No, it was a good call, because thankfully it worked and we got past that step. Only to be broken by the next one.
What, the boss fight or
after the boss fight? Where
the boss fight was pretty fun.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. Because we thought when the cutscene played, we thought that can't be it. Like that's way too short.
Yeah.
But then after the cutscene plays, inexplicably, a key card has appeared under the water. What?
Yeah, this one
with no suggestion that anything has happened. Is there? Please, if there's something I'm missing, please tell me. Does something happen does Nathan drop the keycard? Does somebody else drop the keycard in the cutscene? And I just wasn't paying attention? There has to be a pointer to it. It just doesn't make sense.
I would hope so. I mean, that was the point in the guide, or in the Easter egg, that we actually broke and cracked out a guide just to find out what was due next, because we ended up looking for the damn thing for about 45 minutes.
Yeah, we went to the computer as the game suggests that you do, and then you have to go find the node connectors to bridge those cables. But so we were trying to do that, trying to find out where the connectors are. We had no idea. We already knew about the hatch in the boat, but we didn't have the key card to get access to it, so we were bumbling around for like 10 minutes, just decided, you know what, we've had enough. It's getting just to the point where it's just tedious now. I was running out of time, I believe, as well. So so we had to just crack the guide. But we did manage to do the rest of it once we found the key card without the guide.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, if you hadn't been so vigilant on where the key card actually goes in, I probably would have kept on with the guide. But,
yeah, I was about to cave.
The rest of...
I remember, I was about to cave. I was like, wait. At the last second when you were trying to look the guide up. I was like, the door in the boat. It's got to be the door in the boat. God.
But the rest of it was actually relative. I mean, I know there was only like, 2 steps after that?
Yeah.
Relatively simple.
Yeah, every other step after that was fine. No bother whatsoever. I enjoyed every other minute of it. Apart from maybe the algebra. That one hurt.
Yeah, but
that one hurt my
You
spirit.
don't necessarily need to do that.
Well, you do, I suppose, because you need to shoot the trap.
Unless you get it out of the box.
Have you actually tried that?
No, because I don't use the box in these new games.
I tried to get it on Liberty Falls out of the box out of morbid curiosity. Didn't get it after like 40, 50 spins.
Need to get more of them gobble gums.
I know. I've got some now, though. Thank God. So if we ever need to do it again, well, when we do next try Terminus, I might just do that. Take the Wonder Weapon gobble gum or something. Just to make it so we don't have to do that.
Do you briefly want to mention the boss fight on your initial thoughts on that?
Yeah, sure. Why not? We haven't beaten it, obviously, so as we said before. But I enjoy it. I think it's tougher than I thought it was, but I don't think it wasn't good or well designed. I actually personally really like big scale boss fights. I wish we had more of them. It certainly was a lot bigger than I was expecting. You know what I mean? I was expecting it to be a standard fare boss fight, but no, I was really enjoying it. The only thing I'm not too keen on is how spongy it is, as we found out, and you may see in the footage.
Yeah.
We were woefully underprepared in terms of weaponry for it, so we got, well, to be fair, we got it down to phase 2, which is more than what can be said for my attempt on solo trying to catch that footage. I didn't even get 5 minutes into the fight before I died, so... So, at least you did better than me. What about you, though? What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It is very spongy. I'll give it that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not a big fan of spongy bosses.
Chip damage all the way, isn't it?
Exactly. But I do like it. It feels almost like a glow up of the Kraken fight from Extinction.
Oh yeah. In fact, that's what we said after we finished it, didn't it? That it felt kind of a lot like the Kraken, but also in some of the ways that the Kraken fight wasn't quite as good as it could have been, because it was also spongy as hell. So it just... Yeah, I think they need to bring its health down a little bit.
Or at least make weapons do more damage to it. I mean...
Absolutely.
It felt a lot more interactive than the Kraken fight from Extinction.
Yeah.
I think I said to you before we started recording that the first phase, in my opinion, seems like the most finicky, because you got to shoot these pustules that keep kind of changing where they're going.
Oh yeah.
Whereas phase 2, where you got to shoot the mouth, and then phase 3, where you got to shoot the eyes.
Yeah.
Though we haven't got to phase 3 yet. They seem like they're bigger targets.
Yeah, and like we said earlier, it's like their weak spots are exposed all the time, whereas the one for the first phase only comes up when he's finished his rising animation. And I suppose it's probably a good time to talk about the Wonder Weapon.
Yeah.
I'm not overly keen.
Nah.
I think it needs a buff. I don't think it's terrible.
Just a little one.
It helps in a pinch, and I do like slowing them down. I find that's a good feature of it. But its attack power just isn't up to par with some of the other weapons we've had. I think it could use a bit of a buff in a future patch. Especially against...
I don't know...
Oh, sorry, you go.
I was just gonna say, I don't know about you, but other than maybe stunning zombies for a couple of seconds,
Yeah.
and even then it's not really worth it, that secondary fire doesn't really do much.
Yeah, I think if you hold it down, it blows up. But it doesn't even really kill anything, at least in my experience. I couldn't even really get any kills with it, using that as well. Yeah, I just wasn't all that impressed with it. It's fun to use, but I just wish it... You know, it's got this big persona about it when you pick it up. Like, oh, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. But it just wasn't all that great. Maybe, like I say, we were maybe underprepared, and if it was packed to 3. Because even against the boss, it was extremely weak. And I feel like, you know, if there's any weapon that's going to hurt the boss, it should be the Wonder Weapon. You know what I mean? Especially if it's a projectile weapon like that. Well, maybe not projectile, but, you know, a laser weapon. But yeah, I wasn't overly keen on it, but again, it's not something that can't be fixed. Just a patch and a buffing it might be just what it needs, really.
Yeah.
Alright, so do you want to move on to the next bit then?
Sure, it's just, I mean, we're kind of running quite a bit on time here, so maybe just briefly go over what we thought of Kevin's new songs.
Yeah, so I wasn't too sure about them at first, I'll be honest. But they've grown on me. It's kind of like, ironically, given how the song kind of sounds like Dead Flowers. Again, started off a bit...
The Terminus one.
Yeah. It's definitely got, for me at least, a different sound to it than the earlier stuff. But I don't think it's bad. I think the new singers did a really great job. The one on there is one particular note though that I will say on the Liberty Falls one. I can't remember what it's called. Destroy Something Beautiful, is it?
Beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah. Where there's that bit where the guitar stops playing and she holds this note that's really intense and it hurts my ears every single time I'm playing with headphones. I'm not trying to be...
Is that when you actually can hear it?
Well, yeah, that's true. You don't hear it in game. I'm more talking about the YouTube version because that's another thing we probably should have talked about. Please raise the volume in game. They're too quiet. They are far too quiet in game. And I do want to hear them. I just think it's sad because they paraded the idea that, or at least Kevin did, that his music's back and it's going to be this, it's going to be that, and then you can't even hear it in game. Or barely.
Yeah, and you got your music volume like as high as it can go, don't you?
I've got my video, like the music volume on 100 and everything else on 80, and I still can barely hear the song. It's just no good. It's just like, I may as well just boot it up on my computer and blast it through the speaker. You know what I mean? Because I remember back to, the days of Black Ops 1 where like 115 would be really loud. You could hear it clear as day when you were playing, but in this, you'd be forgiven for thinking there wasn't anything playing at all. It's that quiet. So yeah, that's my only complaint about the music, is it could be louder.
Too quiet.
Yeah. Like I said, the songs I wasn't sure on at first, but as I've listened to them a bit more, I have grown on them. So, they've grown on me rather. So, yeah, I'm totally down for those.
Yeah.
For putting those on in the future. Probably going to upload them at some point. We'll get there eventually.
Eventually. Yeah, I really like the new songs. The Terminus one. Is that cool?
Can You Hear Me or something, or Come In, whichever one you want to call it.
It really does give me Dead Flower vibes.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sold on the lyrics of that one, but I like it.
Yeah.
And I think, as you said earlier, the new artists really knocked it out of the park.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, even though I may not be fond of them at first, there's no disrespect to the singers. They did a great job. I just, or Kevin even, to be honest, it was, I don't know, it just wasn't particularly my cup of tea personally at first. But I don't know, I'm adapting to them. It's just going to take some time after having, Clark and Maluka and all that for so long.
The thing is, I remember when Where Are We Going and Always Running came out, and people were like, who the hell's this? Like, why? Where is Elena?
Yeah, that's true, yeah. Well, I always thought back then Where Are We Going was going to be a one-off, and Maluka would only be for that map, and that would be that, but thankfully not, and we got some other good songs out of it as well. So, it might just be a case of we need to hear another song by them, and it'll click.
Yeah.
Maybe it just wasn't the right song. I don't know. I guess we'll see.
We will see. I mean, hopefully we'll get more from Kevin as the series goes on.
God, I
don't
hope
want another
so.
Cold War situation.
Like I've said to you outside of the podcast, just having the songs come out for me was like Christmas. It was one of the big reveals that I liked about having a new map. I was always sitting there on YouTube waiting for him to upload it. Like when it used to be PS4 exclusive. Was that Black Ops 4? When they got the maps early.
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to sit there and stalk his page on release night, waiting for him to upload something because we wouldn't have to be able to listen to it for like another month. So I was like, I'm just going to go listen to it now. Because you did, didn't you, for these ones?
Yeah.
You were on YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I like hearing them in game, but I also prefer listening to them as they are and then listening to them in game later on. So it's not a make or break to where I listen to them first.
Yeah. Well, I kind of wish I had now because seeing how quiet they are in game, I feel like I'd have been better off listening to it on YouTube. But, oh well, what can you do?
What can you do? Let's move on to the next topic. Cast, operators and side characters.
Yeah, so the main point for this that you wanted to talk about was just the fact that we have a dedicated cast again, which is really nice.
Absolutely. I think that's really the main point for this, is that having a dedicated cast, really adds so much life to this mode. I like the operators, don't get me wrong. Yes, Josh. Yeah, I do like the operators. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it was such a smart move having a dedicated cast and the operators. It really is just the best of both worlds, in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I kind of hope that as the series goes on and more zombies characters get added to the story, we might get more playable zombies operators. I would love to see more,
that would be cool.
Being able to go back to a previous map and play it with an operator that wasn't technically there. That's from zombies and have that play out and see what kind of dialogue they have. I think that would be pretty cool. Sadly, though, I do believe we're just going to get them for. That's at least what I think is going to happen, but we'll see.
We'll see. In a surprising turn of events, you actually found Peck rather tolerable this time.
If not, even slightly likable, dare I say it. Considering this is, well, our first, podcast thing was way after Cold War. You're probably not aware that I had an absolute hate for Peck in Cold War. I could not stand him. But I think that's by design.
You went out of your way to make a gif of Kravchenko bitch slapping Peck.
I mean, deserved.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, he's actually he doesn't make me want to stick pins in my eyes playing the game now. So whether that'll change, and dare I say, actually, it was kind of even funny at times. Which is more than what can be said for his horrendous dance routine in 5SC. That we'll
that's just a war crime.
We'll try and scrub that from history.
I just one last character I really want to mention. For those of you who have completed Liberty Falls Easter egg, and spoilers again, how obvious was it that Panos was gonna be a villain and turn against us?
Absolutely. He was had all the hallmarks of someone who's gonna stab you in the back. It just makes I hate when stuff like that happens, because it just makes your crew look dumb.
Exactly, that's literally what I was about to say.
It's in Black Ops 1, the characters were brainwashed, so they got away with it. But here, there's no excuse. They're literally just dumb. You know what I mean? He's literally said that he's talking to other people in his head, as if that isn't a red flag enough. I was just mystified that they bought into that. And it was basically, how did the ending cutscene play out for us? It was basically oh wow, he turned out to be the bad guy.
Yep. Honestly, I'll say it here and now. Our characters in Liberty Falls got what they deserved.
Absolutely. It's like they were just sent there and they could not be any less bothered with what's going on. They're just whatever. Just get in, get out. Done.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about enemy variety?
Yeah, there isn't a whole lot to talk about here. Most of them are returning.
I think
enemies aren't there, so we've got Manglers, Abominations, a couple of new ones. What was it you were going to say, sorry? I could cut you off there.
I was just going to say, I think the main thing for me, in terms of enemy variety, I do like the pool of enemies.
Yeah.
But please, Treyarch, please tone down those Manglers. I
do feel like Vermin spawn in way too many in the later rounds. To the point where it gets a bit tedious. Vermin rounds for me, they take ages now. You have to deal with 20, 30 parasites on the later rounds, and it's just
even outside of their own dedicated rounds, in the Terminus boss fight, I had about 5 or 6 of the spider ones on me, and they actually put me down.
Yeah, I remember you saying, was that when they had to swim out the water? Yeah, because you said they just...
And that wasn't including the ones that were... And those were just the ones on me that I saw, there was probably about 10 of them around anyway, and it wasn't for the fact that we weren't killing them, we were, but there's just so many.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they do definitely need to turn that down a bit. Because like I say, back on the old games, it used to be there's always a fixed amount of boss types per round, I don't know, maybe 12 dogs or something, and that was it. I think maybe they should return to that, because I never found that boss rounds were particularly challenging anyway, and they still kind of aren't. It just feels more like a time sink, trying to shoot all these parasites out the sky, and I don't know, I just don't find it particularly enjoyable doing boss rounds at the minute. So I hope they note that down a bit.
Yeah, and in terms of the Manglers, they definitely need to go the way of is it no, it's not the Moishlur, it's the
Wushlings, yeah.
They definitely need to be a bit of a cap on, or not even a cap, but a cap of how many can spawn at any one point.
Yeah, they're really overwhelming in their current format, aren't they? You can have up to 4 or 5 all running around at once, and one shooting you can send you flying all the way to the right into a horde of zombies, and you just immediately get downed. Yeah.
I mean, I swear, there's times where I've had one on one side of me and one on the other side of me, and
they just
where
pass
they
you around.
keep shooting me, I'm being knocked around like a blooming tennis ball.
Actually, the other night, I got my first death scene from the Mangler, so that was fun.
Oh, have you? That's pretty... I had a Mangler death scene. That was actually quite fun.
Oh, yeah. So you have seen it, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Alright. Yeah, it's a pretty cool one, though. With the sickle where it picks you up. Yeah, that was
just blows your head off.
Yeah. I wasn't angry after seeing it, because I was like, you know what? That was pretty cool. I'll give him some points for that. But yeah, the Amalgam, I quite enjoy fighting it.
I don't. Mm-hmm.
I'm still not entirely sure how it works, which I don't know if that should be the case after like 10 games or whatever. But I do constantly get stumped on how you shoot the spores, but then they come back. Does it eat zombies or something? I'm assuming it does.
I don't know.
Because I've noticed
I don't know if it's...
they regen health sometimes if you leave them for long enough. So I'm assuming they kill zombies and get more health or something.
Yeah, I'm guessing they work similar to the Thrashers.
Yeah, that's the gist I got. Which is actually a good point, considering isn't this supposed to be on an island very close to Zetsubo no Shima? So...
Yeah, which, I mean, like, Terminus definitely gives me a bit more high-tech Zetsubo vibes.
Absolutely. I'm kind of glad we got round to this topic, because I thought of it earlier and completely forgot. Yeah, it does definitely feel like a more modern spin on Zetsubo no Shima, which I really like. It's maybe not as creepy, I guess, or as horrifying as Zetsubo was, but I don't know, it works. It does still feel like that kind of map. Yeah, I really enjoyed it for what it was.
Yeah, they very much feel related.
Yeah, 100%. So beyond that,
anything else you want to?
I don't think so. I think that's more or less it.
Okay.
So what are you wanting to do next? We've got what we'd like to see over the future for Black Ops 6.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've kind of been speaking about this.
Yeah, to a point.
Over the course of the video, so there's not really kind of much other than extend or reset the pause timer.
Yeah.
And I guess my expectation is seeing new perks and augments and such like that. But
Absolutely.
Obviously, I know that we got a new map. Probably in my educated guess would be December time.
Yeah.
If it's going to be mid-season.
Yeah, one would hope. There's also...
have we had a map? Or I was just going to ask real quick. Have we had a DLC map this early before?
I know that Isaac came out very soon after Black Ops 3's launch, but I don't remember if it was this early.
I think DE came out in January.
Did it?
I could be wrong.
I'd have to double check. But yeah, one of the things that I did note down that I was hoping that would come this season, which well we know it is directed mode. I'm kind of interested to see how these Easter eggs will look with signposts on them, because some of those steps that didn't make sense then might make sense with directed mode now that the game's outright telling us what we have to do.
I definitely could have used a signpost for where that card was.
Yeah, 100%. It was definitely a bit out there, wasn't it? Speaking of directed mode, actually, do you want to talk quickly about the exclusive calling cards for beating these?
I was literally just thinking about that, like just a bit of a public service announcement here for anyone who might be listening.
Yeah.
Complete both Liberty Falls and Terminus before Season 1 drops, which is November the 14th, I think.
Yeah, that was it,
because if you do manage to do it, then you'll get an exclusive calling card alongside the main calling card.
Yeah, so it's only going to be available from now till then, so if you miss it, it's gone. So it's definitely worth doing if you're interested in bragging to your mates about having done it early. But you do still get it's pretty much the same calling card, isn't it, if you do it regularly? It just...
Yeah, it's the same one,
it's
just a different colour palette, isn't it?
Yeah, and an icon in the corner that basically says, hey, this is exclusive. But yeah, beyond that, I think that's pretty much it, isn't it? More or less.
Yeah, we covered all our topics. I mean, this video is definitely getting a lot longer than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, like I said, we were sticking to 45 minutes. I said before we started recording it would probably be 20 minutes. We are now on an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah, that was so generous.
I got well, I guess it's fitting. We got rambling.
Yep, Undead Rambling in the title.
So yeah, then.
So
what can people expect next episode?
Yep, next episode we'll definitely cover Nukta and Toten, just going over our thoughts and feelings on that map
Yeah.
and just get into that really in depth.
Mm-hmm.
We do have footage captured for that already, so that shouldn't be. I mean, I can't imagine that'll be a long video anyway.
Yeah. Then again,
so
we managed to
really looking
ramble
forward to
about
that.
these maps for 45 minutes, or an hour and 10 rather.
To be fair, we were talking about 2 maps, though.
True. Yeah, that's fair.
Other than that,
No, I think that's it.
yeah. If you like the video, guys, please like, share, and subscribe. Just the usual YouTube pleasantries. I hate to kind of, yeah, we hate this bit, but it's got to be done for the algorithm overlords.
Yeah, absolutely. Blame YouTube, not us.
Yeah, exactly. We're just Millicent bystanders. Join the Discord if you want to speak to like-minded individuals.
Absolutely. You can find a link to that in the description. I'm currently in the works of trying to make it more lively because it has been a bit dead for a while now. So I'm trying my best to try and make it more talkative again, but we'll see what happens as we go.
Yeah.
Um,
And lastly, guys, just let us know what your thoughts are on Black Ops 6 and both Terminus and Liberty Falls in the comments.
Yeah, if possible, we'll maybe try and include some of them in our next discussion. Any thoughts that you might have, or maybe discuss it a bit more there, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks for tuning in,
and-
unless you want to say something else.
No, I was just going to say, don't forget to be kind to each other and us.
All right, well, we'll see you later then.
Yeah, Yep.
All right, see ya.
Catch you later, guys. Bye.